other, I mean, I would assume that there are other strategic buyers interested in these assets.
Yeah, well, for electronics and imaging, a very logical buyer would be somebody like 3M.
Okay, yeah.
Platform Specialty, which was a new chemical company that was formed several years back by bolting together McDermott and some others. They have an electronics and imaging business. I suppose you could see maybe even some of the downstream players, that are making circuits possibly be interested in making it upstream. The problem with that electronics business is kind of similar to the one of the new DuPont, and that is, even though it kind of looks like it's all one homogeneous business, when you look at it at a product line basis, it is very diverse and no overlap, in channels to market, customers, and so forth. So it's even more of a mess in some ways than the four platforms that make up the specialty business. But that doesn't mean you couldn't find someone that would be interested in buying it. In the advanced polymers, certainly DSM, BASF would be a potential owner of that. I would also expect that there would be some interest out of the Middle East from companies like SABIC that have been trying to diversify down the value chain.
That was, of course, a long time ago, the naphtha cracker, but the petrochemicals business of DSM. And I don't think maybe DSM was not interested in selling more to SABIC, but at least they...
Yeah, that business looks a little bit more like a commodity than the other three. So if you are a especially chemicals company who is headed down the path towards pharma and life sciences, that's going to look less attractive.
Yeah.
But if you are a commodity chemical producer who's trying to head down the path of specialty, that looks like a very attractive business.
Yeah.
So that's why I give an example, somebody like SABIC, for instance. I frankly was surprised, and I know they did it because of pressure from Third Point, but I was surprised they didn't keep that in the materials business.
So that's what they have to do. So they have to DSM is going to sell, they're going to acquire the business together with SABIC. And then that's also, of course, possible, that they find another interested party that will take the advanced polymers and maybe also then in the process take the engineering plastics of DSM also, or the materials division.
Exactly.
And then they will acquire the other businesses already not part of. But then you still have to sell the electronics and the safety. Well, what's the third is safety? Well,
safety construction.
Go ahead. Construction. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
That one again is a mix of products that don't have a lot of overlap. This was done by DuPont as a way of trying to justify putting some very different businesses together.
Yeah.
It's everything from high performance polymers to building products like nonwoven house wrap. There's an artificial or synthetic marble business for solid surfaces, countertops in there. There's a safety consulting business embedded in it. So it's a whole lot of stuff that they put together to try to justify building a platform around. But when you look at it at the product level, you could make a case that even that platform should be split up into smaller pieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's and there's where most of the interest I've seen is in private equity, is not trying to take one of these platforms out completely on its own, but to go in and cherry pick specific product lines out that are well positioned in their markets.
But I can imagine that would become very messy for Dow DuPont to sell it that way.
At this point,
every subdivision separate.
At this point, 5 years from now, when DuPont's on its own, it might very well be worth that effort to try to increase shareholder value. But today, that's probably too much work compared to what they have to do.
You don't think there would be a single buyer, a strategic buyer interested in the safety and construction business?
All four businesses?
No, only the safety and construction division.
Good question. So there's a couple that I think of that would have interest in it. One of them is Saint-Gobain, which owns CertainTeed and also has some high performance polymers in their product line, and fibers in their